So it's April of 2016, and my husband and I had never felt God's presence and God's movement in our life like this part of the year. We had just filled the Fillmore for our second Easter as a church. It was unbelievable. We truly felt God's presence. And in that month, we found out we were also pregnant. So I was probably 8 weeks pregnant at that point, and really, we felt God's presence with us.
About a year ago, I was in a really weird place in my life where my family had a lot of drama going on. I had just lost my job for the first time. I was fired ever. I had just reached this really low place, and I was mad at God. I was mad. I didn't want to pray. I didn't want to figure things out because I didn't want to face it.
A week later, we had found out that I had a miscarriage. And just when God's presence was so real in our lives was the very moment that we truly felt the attack of the enemy so strong. I wasn't sure how to handle that or what to do, but or even what to offer as a woman anymore. And it was devastating. It was probably the most difficult season that we've experienced in a long time. So that was April of 2016. And as the months went on, it almost felt like God wasn't around anymore. I struggled to hear him. I struggled to worship him. I struggled to focus. I struggled at my job. It was an overwhelming sense of anxiety that this thing that we had been given was taken so quickly.
I eventually got to a point where I had just shut off a lot of people in my life. And I was trying to help with some projects with church because I had so much free time. And I started to help plan this women's event.
Leading up to the women's event, I truly felt, I felt dry. I felt exhausted. I honestly felt like I wasn't a good wife or a good pastor. I felt like I didn't have much to offer our church. And I struggled wondering and asking God, why did I feel this way? I know I had experienced great loss, but I felt like I should have been able to persevere better than I was experiencing.
And we ended up doing this part of the event where we would write down our name, our number, and a prayer request and put it on this board, and somebody else was going to come up and take it and pray for you for that whole year. That was their commitment. I'm going to pray for you for this year. I'm going to reach out to you. So I remember going up there, grabbing it, running back to my seat, and I open it and it says Lauren for Janik, and I'm like, dang it. And I was upset because I just felt like she's gonna be so disappointed when she figures out I'm the one who has to pray for her, because I'm so messed up and I'm so not in the right place, and I had no right asking God for any favors.
About a month later in December, Joey and I found out that we were pregnant. Christmas Day, we called our families and told them that we were pregnant again.
And I just pulled over and I cried because it was just like, it just felt like, wow, God let me be a part of this. He let me experience this, and it really brought back my faith. It brought back my confidence in myself.
On November 30th of 2017, I walked into work. I have this gift sitting on my desk, and I'm like, who's giving me a gift? Why are they giving me a gift? And it's this unbelievable story of reminding me of a year ago, November 30th, that I had put this card on a prayer wall, and it has said my name, my phone number, and it said, I want you to stand with me and to pray for me to have children. This card was full of this testimony of Jazz and her progress of the year and what God had done through the card that I had left on that wall that day. But because I was obedient to the Lord and putting that card up there, she really got the opportunity to seek the Lord and pray for me. This card that she had written to me said that because she started praying for me, that the Lord really had started speaking to her, and that she started praying for other things, and that God was speaking to her even more, and that because she prayed and was so obedient to praying for me every day, that God started opening the doors of heaven over her life and speaking to her greatly about her own prayer life.
And I kept it in there even after the year had passed. And I would just look at it almost as an encouragement to me to know that God hadn't given up on me. God could still use me in those places, and I still had more places I could go.
This year, we're ready for overflow.
Come on, somebody. Come on, somebody. You can do better than that. God can do anything. Anything. And this is our word for this year. It's really a word of faith. I know you've been waiting for months on the edge of your seat. What is our word for 2017? You couldn't even sleep last night because you've been thinking about what is the word for 2017. That word overflow is what I believe God has given me and our church and our leaders and our elders for 2018. And I want to explain what overflow means to you today. Over the next 3 weeks, starting next week, I'm going to preach a series called Overflow, experiencing the unbelievable, radical, incredible, miraculous favor of God in your life. How many of you want that in your life? How many want that in your life? But before I do, and before I take a sip of my brand new Overflow cup, isn't that awesome? And these are for sale today, by the way. You need to buy one. Hold on. Do you get the reference? Overflow, water, and I know. I thought this was so creative, and I was like, I'm going to take a sip, and they're just going to go, wow, I got to get one now. And they run out to the lobby, but thanks for not leaving. But I'm definitely probably going to kick that over during the sermon and ruin the lights. But anyway, let's take this away from me. Okay, thank you. I'm going to explain what overflow means a little bit at the end of my talk today, at the end of my message. I'm really not preaching a sermon today. I'm casting vision for 2018. But before we can go forward, we got to look back. Really, the best way to go forward is to learn some things from what's behind you, so that when you get where you're going, you know how to thank God for what you've been through, and also so you don't make some of the same mistakes that you made. The funny thing about progress, which was our word for 2017, which is what that video was about, progress. I prayed and I prayed and I prayed, and I made progress. The funny thing about that word progress is this. Progress is kind of like this. You ever moved away from home? Have you ever moved away from family and friends, and you've been gone for a minute, and then you go back and you get in that environment and you're going, what was I thinking? I can't believe I acted like that. And all of a sudden you take a step back and you go, man, I've evolved. I've made some progress. And progress is funny like that because really, while you're making progress, sometimes you don't even realize you're making it. But it takes progress for you to get to overflow. See, some of us started with a little bit of water in our jar, but we're at the point today where we're ready to bust through, and God's ready to do some unbelievable, radical things in our life. We've been working hard. We've been sowing seeds. We've been praying. We've been fasting. We've been working. And I believe this is the year to reap the harvest. I do. Some of you are scared because you're going, man, I didn't sow very many seeds. I wasn't very faithful in 2017. Sometimes when you get in an environment and a community that is so ready to overflow, you get a little bit of what you didn't deserve as well. And I just believe that our church and our community is going to experience that. But let's take a moment. Let's look back for a moment on Vision Sunday 2018. Okay, let's look back at what God has done briefly in our time. Okay, I'm going to give you 3 points today. Number 1 is reflect. Number 2 is prepare. And number 3 is declare. Okay, so let's start at number 1, reflect. Let's think back. Okay, for some of us, we had a challenging 2017. But we sowed a lot of seeds of tears. And we've been faithful, and we're here. And we're ready to move on, to squash it, to be done. But sometimes looking back, we can see that we've made a little bit of progress. And I just want to share with you how much we accomplished together in 2017. Now, as a church, our fiscal year is from September to September. So we focus a year from September to September. But for the sake of today being January, let's look at 2017 as a whole, January to January, okay? This is what God has done. All right, here's the first one, okay? We had 251 salvation responses in 2017. It's crazy. That means that somebody for the first time says, I need Christ, I want Christ, or I want to come back home to Christ. I want to make him the Lord of my life again. In 2017, we had 87 baptisms. Insane. 87. Where somebody publicly declared and said, I'm going all in with Jesus, I'm getting baptized. Okay. Our average attendance for the weekends was 594. That was our average attendance. Okay, so if you take all the events, all the things that we do, and you also take the Sundays and all the things, our average attendance for the year, 594. That's incredible. That's amazing. Okay. We added 3 staff members so that I would not lose my life, my marriage, and go insane. So we added some help. You funded, and when I say we, I mean you, us. We funded and helped start over 25 churches. A few years ago, poor Richmond didn't even know what church planting was. Now you're planting churches all over the world. Come on, somebody. And that's just that we know of. Sometimes we just give money. We don't even know. I don't even know. We probably planted more than that. You funded and gave to 7 foreign missionaries that we know of, okay? El Salvador, Ireland, Haiti, Indonesia, El Salvador, Nicaragua, and Romania. That's what you did this year. I'm glad you're excited about that. You'll be excited about this, and if you're not, you are dismissed. We as a collective body, we invested, you're not ready for this, you invested, gave away, invested into missions, local missions, church planting, $76,122.46. What? How is that even possible? That's way above and beyond our 10% as a body. But collectively, isn't it crazy what we can do when we sacrificially, selfishly give, selflessly give? All right, we turned 3 years old and we took over the TLA in TBC fashion. That was amazing. We continued to not get in any debt as a church. Our church is 100% completely debt-free. Let me explain something to you. If I got hit by a bus, God forbid, okay, or got in a plane crash, double God forbid, okay, that's my worst fear, by the way. If something happened to me, I can assure you that you are in a very healthy church. In other words, if I went away tomorrow, this thing is not built around me alone. There are some other amazing, great leaders in this church. And there's finances in the bank to make sure that we can continue on. We're not in debt. We won't close the doors. Okay, somebody will be able to carry the mantle. They'd be able to find somebody else, and it would be fine. And that's I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not getting hit by a bus because I don't ride a bike in the city, okay? If you do ride a bike, you need to know that you might get hit by a bus at some point, okay? But anyway, but I'm attributing that to your faithfulness and to our understanding. You need to know, I don't know where you come from church-wise, but at this church, every single dollar that comes in, we believe 100% it is God's, not ours. And that's why he takes care of us. All right, we took 2 missions trips. That was incredible. There are a bunch of measurables, okay, measurables. All right, here's some intangibles. I know we've been praying for Pastor Grace's mom, and she's in remission today. It was looking bleak. You understand that they gave her her final read, if you will. They really told her she was going to die. But she's not. You prayed, God came through. That's a big deal. We've got other people in our church who today are in remission from cancer. We've got people who, they've had prayers answered. Somebody told us they had 5 distinct things that they prayed for in 2017, and God answered it. We've been praying for Albert. He's out of the hospital. He was in the hospital for 40-some days. We've got people who are giving faithfully for the first time. On our offerings, we're going to share stories from the blessed life. I can't wait to share next week's story of what God did in somebody and how they're debt-free. I'm just telling you, we have made great progress in 2017. I think about people who've gotten married. Okay, people who've gotten married that needed to get married. Okay, people who've gotten a house. Okay, I think about people who broke up that needed a break. I'm just kidding, but seriously. I pray for some people to break up, I'm not gonna lie. People who've gotten houses that have been praying for a house and searching for in impossible situations. Okay, people who've not gotten divorced that we thought they were, and now their marriage is more healthy than ever. People who've gotten jobs, have had favor from their bosses. People who've been able to pay off debt. People who've gotten jobs. I'm just telling you, there is a list upon list upon list of faithfulness of God in 2017. We have made progress. We have made progress. Some of you finally firmly planted yourself in a church and you realize it's not so bad. You've made progress. There are areas that you want to see more progress in, but I believe this is the year you're going to experience and see what you've been praying for. So, okay, that's a little bit of a reflection. I don't want to take too much time. We do that on adoption ceremony. We reflect on our year. But let's go to number 2. Let's go to the meat of this thing. Let's prepare for 2018. Okay, how do we prepare? Okay, well, let me start with the crazy move of us going to 3 services starting next week. Why are we doing that? Okay, there are several reasons. I'm going to give you half of the reason now and then half of the reason later on. Okay, the first reason is this. Every year on the second week of January, every single year, we have had the most amount of people come to our church. I don't know why. Every year on the second week, I don't know if it's for my birthday. I don't know why people are doing that. Okay, but what happens is we have full services. We have to add extra chairs, and then if people don't have enough room, okay, you might like it full, you might like it packed, you might like coming here, but there are often people who are visiting who are petrified and scared to death and want to sit in a church like it's a movie theater. Okay, and so what's happened is we've not been able to sustain that growth. We've now brought on a family pastor. Okay, all of these things are good, by the way. We brought on a family pastor who in this fall, we've had Sundays where we've had 60 and 50 plus children down in kids ministry. It's fun and it's amazing to think about for me because I'm putting in the numbers going, God is good. But for them down there, they're going, this is too much. Kids are not being taught appropriately, okay? And it's probably not safe in our little space, okay, for 60 children to be running around playing tag, high-fiving each other, and running into the poles, okay? By the way, no one's running to the poles, okay? Well, one kid, a long time ago. Anyway, we've got to create some space. Now you can look around. There's a few chairs, but for the most part, this room is 60 or to 70, maybe even 80% full, okay? These are really all the chairs we have allotted to us, unless we take chairs away from kids. So, this is the first service. Next service, we assume it will be the same. Football season's ending, okay? It's going to be over. The sun at some point will come out. It won't be a bomb cyclone every week. The devil is a lie. Why did that have to happen? But you're here. They say on the coldest weekend in a generation, you're here in church today. Thank you. I'm proud of you. We'll see if the late crowd loves Jesus like you do, okay? So we've sent out some flyers. We're going to do some door hangers. We're going to do an online commercial starting this week, probably on Wednesday. You need to comment on that. You need to repost it. We got to help fill the room. So the reason that we're making space is so that we can grow. Because the reality is, over the last 2 years in Port Richmond, we started Center City. We took about 25 to 50 people, but then we filled back up. And so while there's some Sundays where it feels empty, there are also several Sundays where it doesn't. Sometimes weather, time of year, holidays affect attendance. But for the most part, on things like Christmas Eve and days like today, or maybe even days like next week, if we don't have the space, we cannot sustain the growth. And we've got to serve our children well. I'm thinking about my kid. He's going to be 6 months at some point. He's going to be in kids ministry. It changes when you have a kid. So I'm thinking about these things. And so I say all that to say this. That is in part why we're doing 3 services. It at times, it could feel like, oh, this is kind of awkward. This is kind of empty. You got to bring people to church. Okay, we're doing a different kind of service at the 9 a.m. We're doing an acoustic, relaxed experience, something different. Lights will be up. There might be some candles. At some point, we might try some different style of, even a different style of service, where we might be a little bit more liturgical and do hymns. We're not doing that now, but we're working towards trying different things. We want to reach a whole new group of people. Would you believe there's some people that don't like all the smoke, the haze? It's not smoke, it's water-based. You're not going to cough. If you do, it's not because of the haze, I promise. It's water-based. If some people don't like that, some people don't like the lights and the drums and all that, some people just want to be reflective. I want to create a space for people like that. Maybe your grandma might like the block church at 9 a.m., but you don't know unless you bring her. So we're going to create a whole new opportunity to reach more people. Now, we're only going to do it until the summertime, and then we'll go to a summer schedule. We're going to push hard. We're going to believe God, okay, and we're going to grow this thing over the next several months. And at times, if you're looking around going, where is everybody? It means everybody is spread out through 5 services. Okay, now, if this thing blows up and explodes, we may not stop it, but we'll have more volunteers to make it happen. Okay, so you need to understand that we're doing this as an opportunity to reach more people. That is why the church exists, so that we can go and make disciples, draw them into the house of the Lord. God desires for his house to be full. The Bible says, go into the highways and the byways and bring them in. It's our responsibility to take our little invite cards, okay, right here, and bring people and invite people. Use these and invite them. It's a new season and we've got work to do, all right? All right. Okay, I'm gonna give you some goals for Port Richmond. Okay, here's some goals for Port Richmond. Oh, let me not hit that. Yeah, goals for Port Richmond. Okay, here's our goal. We want to add 100 people over this next year. 100 people to Port Richmond. 100 people. We want to have our Easter egg hunt go up from 1,200 to between 1,500 and 2,000 people. Okay, we want to see 30% of our church in a group. I'm leading a group this semester for marriages. My wife and I, we're going to do Laugh Your Way Through Marriage. We are going to have so much fun. We're going to do marriages, okay? That's what we're doing this semester. Get into a group. We want 70% of our adults on block teams. Part of how we do this is you serving on a team. We would love for you to think about joining a team. It helps keep the engine going. Serve one, sit one, or serve one and leave one, or leave, okay? It didn't rhyme. Tried. We're going to put more focus on our community partners. Here's Port Richmond's community partners. Powers Park, First Stop Recovery Center. Okay, any First Stop folks in the house? Any First Stop folks? Okay. The recovery program, we're going to be investing, helping build that, money, all the things that they need. Okay, we're going to be focusing on Hackett Elementary, continue to serve Hackett even better than we have before. And then we're going to believe that those are our partners. Sorry. We want to focus, we don't want to be scattered. This year in Port Richmond, we want to focus on those areas and serve those areas well. We believe God can increase our giving participation by 15%. Let me tell you that through the Blessed Life, we had a roaring, unbelievable month of finances. But I believe there are people this year that because you're going to experience the overflow, it's going to get on somebody else, and somebody else is going to be inspired. And because of that, good things are going to happen, and I'll explain that in a moment. Okay, let me explain what's happening in Mesquite. You've heard me talk about our Texas ministry, our ministry out there. Okay, we are getting ready to hire a pastor out there, a location pastor. Okay, this is a big deal. Okay, on February 4th, we're going to introduce this individual. Okay, and then come Easter, come Easter, they are going to become an actual location of the Block Church. So every week I'm going to greet them via video. They're going to watch via video. Sometimes that location pastor will preach, okay, but he's going to shepherd that community. That community is going to grow. They're going to multiply. We're going to have multiple locations. So you're going to see, even on social media, you're going to see more of Dallas, Texas in our feed celebrating them. It's amazing. It is crazy. Think about, you didn't even know you were going to come to this church several years ago. You weren't even living for God. You lived in this neighborhood your whole life, and now this neighborhood, because of your faithfulness, is impacting the world. Wow. Okay. I got to hurry up. I got to hurry. Oh my goodness. Okay. Here's our big goal. Here's our big goal. Oh, I got to do this quick. Y'all worshiped too long today. Video was too long. It was good though, wasn't it? Powerful. All right. Here's what we're going to do. Okay, I'm believing we have 1.5 years left on our lease right here at Richmond Hall. I don't want to leave Port Richmond. I don't. So what we're going to do is this is part of why we're doing 3 services. We need to grow another 100 people. Okay. But then what we're going to do, okay, is we are going to then take 75 to 100 people, okay? This is crazy. So this is going to come out of left field for some of you guys, okay? We have been trying to start another location. And we've been praying about going into Fishtown, Northern Liberties. We've been working really hard. And it just seems like nothing is working. Nothing is formulating. We haven't been able to find a venue. We haven't been able to find anything to work. Even the other day, I thought I had a place and then it fell through. And I've just been praying. And what I've learned is, and what we've saw in our statistics, in our church, there are 86 people who live in the Northeast. That's just families, right? There are 68 people who live in Frankfort and Juniata. So if you combine those two numbers, and this is not counting children, that's 151 people that live in the Northeast. So if we take 75 to 100 people, okay, we put them and we find a place in the Northeast, what that's going to do is that's going to alleviate space here for us to then grow again, move back to 2 services, grow again. And then what I'm going to work vigilantly in doing, okay, is I'm going to work over the next 1.5 years on finding Port Richmond some element of permanent space. Now, it's going to take faith. It is impossible. Let me just make this clear. It is impossible for us to find a permanent space for Port Richmond, start a Northeast location, start a Mesquite location, solidify Center City, right? It's impossible. It cannot happen. But God. I am so tired. Listen to me. I am so tired of living practical. I am Mr. Practical. I mean, I don't play around. I find every detail and I find every reason why it doesn't work, why it shouldn't work. But I serve a God that's bigger than that. And I'm believing this is the year of overflow. This is a year of more than enough. This is a year of, wow, only God could have done it. And it's going to take that kind of faith, that kind of movement, that kind of passion, that kind of belief that God can do it. And I believe He will. I wish you were more excited than that. Because because it's kind of scary for me to go, okay, we're going to start a location. I'm going to work for, because if it doesn't happen, I kind of look a little bit foolish. But I'm willing to be the king of fools to see God do something wild. Now, I want to say this. Okay. God can change anything and He can do anything, right? So, this is how I live my life. I got my hands open like this, and I'm saying, God, pour it out, and I'll give it away. If God changes directions, and for some reason He says, no, I want you to pursue this building, and you've got to push pause on the Northeast, then we'll push pause. Okay, I'm not going to dictate what God does and how God leads. I'm going to have a plan. This is how I have a plan. I'm working on this, but God, if you redirect me, I'm staying flexible, because blessed are the flexible, for they will not be bent out of shape. So this is what I'm going to start focusing my energy on, okay? We're going to start focusing on finding a venue in the Northeast, finding a location pastor that can help lead it, okay? Looking for places to go. Sometime in the spring after the winter, we'll begin to talk about what's next and who we're looking for to go there and all these different things. That's what we'll be working on, and that's why we need this third service, so that we can grow 100 people, so that we can prepare a launch team to go. So you got to bring people. If you know people from the Northeast, get them here. All right, so that's what we're aiming at. Look, if somebody hands us a building in Fishtown, we'll rethink about it, okay? But all I'm saying is this is where I feel like God's leading and God's heading, and I want it all. And I'm believing God for it all. Are you believing God for it all? If we go up there and we start to grow a community up there, okay, what it will do is it will alleviate space here and we can better reach this neighborhood. And we're trying to get more neighborhood focused. Let me explain how. Okay, one thing that we're doing and one thing that I have to make a shift, I'm going to have Abby come play because I will just talk forever, okay? Not that the piano will help me, it'll inspire me more. One thing that we've got to change, we're going to change our structure. Every time you get to a new level, you've got to change your structure. We've been working with a consultant trying to get things better and more clear. And I promise you that I'm not going to put our church in a position where we're going to crumble, fall apart, or go in debt. I won't. Okay, we might take a mortgage, but I'm not saying that we're going to go into bad debt. Okay, so even in us doing this, finding a location, I'm not going to put our church in a bad position. I won't do it. Okay, but what we need to do is change our structure. I remember I used to spend entire days in prayer and preparing for a message. I can't do that anymore. The administrative capacity, the pastoral capacity, the shepherding, the work that goes in to shepherding both locations, I just can't do it anymore. I'm not Superman. I thought I was. I'm not. I have a kid now. I want to be Superman to him. That's it. And so what we need to do is we need to change our structure. So what we're going to do starting February 4th, and I'm not going to announce who these people are today because I want to honor our leaders, because we meet with our leaders this Wednesday. And so I don't want to make an announcement before I communicate to them first out of honor. Does that make sense? So, but on February 4th, we are going to designate location pastors. So someone is going to become the pastor of this location. Someone is then going to become the pastor of Center City. Someone will become the pastor of Mesquite. Someone will eventually become the pastor of the Northeast. And then we'll have people who are assistants to those pastors, assistant location leaders. Those will be people that we're raising up in a pipeline, developing them to go be pastors in other places. We got to find out if this vision from God, one block at a time, really is God's vision for this church. The only way to do that is to raise up leaders and send them out and start locations. That's it. Otherwise, if God changes it in the middle of it, fine. Then we realize our vision is a little bit different. But we're going to pursue this multi-site thing with all we can. Now, here's what I need to focus on, okay? I need to focus on three things. I need to spend more time in prayer. I'm not spending enough time communing with God because I'm spending too much time communing with you. And that's not a bad thing. But I can't keep up. I've got to spend more time with God. Number two, I've got to spend more time preparing and developing messages. My job when I get up here is to cut up some meat and feed you with the best possible information that's going to change your life. Now, we're going to have teaching team and we're going to have location pastors that will preach occasionally, but I've got to focus on being the main communicator. I think this is probably what I'm most gifted to do, is preach God's words. If you don't think so, just keep that to yourself. And the third thing is I've got to focus on developing leaders. I've got to spend more time preparing people to lead our churches. So what we're going to do is these location pastors will lead the administrative and the function of these locations. They'll make sure that teams are staffed. They're going to make sure that the location is healthy, that it's going to be shut down. They'll meet with some of you from account. It's not that I won't jump in from time to time. I've just got to put more focus on prayer. I've got to put more focus on sermon development, and I've got to put more focus on developing leaders. I have to. An additional thing that we're going to do is our elders, Tim and Anna, they are going to lead a counseling team. And so we've got to begin to develop counselors so that when people are in need of marriage counseling, when people are in need of premarital, when people are in need of other crisis counseling, we've got a team that's ready to assist our location pastors, step in and then make recommendations for what's next. Now, these individuals, they are not going to take you through every piece of counseling. They might say you need professional counseling. We might even at some point work in our budget as a church to help pay for some of your counseling if it's that serious. Okay, that's how serious we are about making sure that you're covered as a community. So on February 4th, I'll announce these location pastors, and my role will be more vision-oriented, more preaching-oriented, more focused on raising up and developing leaders. And again, it doesn't mean that I'll be invisible. It doesn't mean that I won't be here to hug you, to talk to you. It doesn't mean that I won't meet with some of you occasionally. It just means those have to be my daily focus. Everybody got that? Okay. We're going to have a central team. We're going to have location team. We're going to change our structure a little bit to better serve you, to better serve our communities. We're going to focus more on serving and reviving the communities that we're in. All right, you with me so far? Do you agree with me so far? All right, amen. How can you be a part of this? How can you help? We want you to continue to attend, to serve if you're not on a team, even for a season. Some of you might need to serve for a season. Join a volunteer team for a season to the summertime to help us make this thing work. Connect with people. Connect in, invite people out. Connect in, get into a group and give. Those are the ways that we connect here. All right, here's the last one. So we reflected, we prepared, and now we declare. We declare that this is the season of overflow. Here's what I believe overflow means. It means abundance, more than enough. Reaping what we sowed in the season before. It is a tidal wave of God's favor and goodness. It's undeniable blessing and miraculous answered prayer. We're going to see what we've been praying for. I am just making this declaration. I am so careful. Listen. I am so careful as a preacher to not manipulate God's word. It's why I teach you series like Now You See Me, where I help you understand that just because we're living in a season of overflow, it doesn't mean you won't have challenges. But I am just believing with all my, this is the year of faith. Another word for overflow, maybe an action, a verb for you to take is to have faith. I am just believing that God can do it all. I want it all. I don't want to sit on the sidelines. I want to see what I'm praying for. When I look around and when the services might feel a little bit more empty because we're in 3, I don't want to look around and go, I'm not seeing it, God. No, I want to see with faith that people are coming, that seats are filled, that God is doing it, that buildings are on the way, that buildings are going to be given to us, and we're going to get good deals, and we're going to be helping people. And I'm just believing it is going to be such a year of unbelievable overflow. I'm not done praying. I'm not done asking. I'm not done waiting. I'm not done seeking. I'm not done fasting. I am just believing we're going to see what we're praying for. Can I read one verse to you, and then I want to sing you a song? Yeah, I said that. I'm going to sing you a song. About that time, King Herod Agrippa began to persecute some believers in the church. Verse 2, he had the apostle James, John's brother, killed with a sword. When Herod saw how much this pleased the Jewish people, he also arrested Peter. Then he imprisoned him, placing him under the guard of 4 squads of 4 soldiers each. Herod intended to bring Peter out for public trial after the Passover. But while Peter was in prison, the church prayed very earnestly for him. While Peter was in prison, the church prayed very earnestly for him. The night before Peter was to be placed on trial, he fell asleep, fastened with two chains between 2 soldiers. Others stood guard at the prison gate. Suddenly there was a bright light. Suddenly, come on, somebody say suddenly. I believe that some of these answered prayers, it's going to feel like suddenly, but it was a lot of praying, it was a lot of sowing in the season before. Suddenly, I'm going to get a call that somebody's giving us a building. Suddenly, I'm going to get a call that the right place for us and the right venue. Suddenly, but I've been praying for a long time. An angel of the Lord stood before Peter. The angel struck him on the side to awaken him and said, "Quick, get up and the chains fell off his wrists. So Peter left the cell following the angel, but all the time he thought it was a vision. He didn't realize it was actually happening. I am believing that what we're going to see is so bizarre, such a move of God, so much overflow that we're going, can you believe what we're seeing? Is that really happening? Is my friends really getting saved? Is my family really coming to the Lord? Are we really getting given these things? It's going to feel like that. I believe that. And they passed the first and second guard posts and came to an iron gate leading to the city. And this opened for them all by itself. So they passed through, started walking down the street, and then the angel left them. Verse 12. When he realized, he went to the home of Mary, the mother of John Mark, where many were gathered for prayer. He knocked at the door in the gate, and a servant girl named Rhoda came to open it. When she recognized Peter's voice, she was so overjoyed that instead of opening the door, she ran back inside and told everyone, Peter is standing out at the door. Verse 15, you're out of your mind, they said. When she insisted, they decided it must be his angel. Verse 16, meanwhile, Peter continued knocking. When they finally opened the door and saw him, they were amazed. He mentioned for them to quiet down, and he told them how the Lord had led them out of prison. Tell James and the other brothers what had happened, he said, and then he went to another place. I believe we're going to see what we're praying for. I believe that is going to be the story, that it is going to be so remarkable, so unbelievable, so incredible that we're going to look and go, is it possible? And God's going to say, yes, because I am the God of the impossible. I put miracles in motion. I save, I deliver, I heal, I give, I do all the things. It is the year of overflow. You believe that? Come on. So I need my water. And you need to buy this, and you need to put this at work and believe every day when you're not seeing what you've been praying for, and just keep praying. You're going to get a gift today on your way out. It's a wristband. It says Overflow. I want to keep this in front of you all year long. And I'm going to sing you a song right now. Can't believe I'm doing this. But we wrote this over our writing retreat. And this is going to be the cry of our church this year. You believe it? Come on. Though we stand in the waiting, prayers that we've been saying, we're not ashamed, it's not in vain. All that we've been building, hopeful hearts are dreaming. It's not for fame, it's for your name, and you will make a way. Yes, you will, and you will make a way. We want more than we've ever had, a fresh touch from you, oh Lord. It's all that we long to know. Spirit, come overflow. Hallelujah. Are you ready, 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 ready? And victories are anthem. Harvest is the promise. It's on the way. We stand in faith. Come on, you sing it. It's on the way. It's on the way. We stand in faith. We want more than we ever had. A fresh touch from you, oh Lord. It's all that we long to know. We want more. We want more than we ever had. overflow. We want it all. We want it all, Lord. Pour it out. Send it down. We want it all. We want it all, Lord. Overflow. Overflow. We want it all. We want, come on, you sing it out. Pour it out. Send it down. We want it all. We want it all, Lord. Overflow. Overflow. We want it all. We, come on, pour it out. We sing it. Pour it out. Send it down. We want it all. We want it all, Lord. Overflow. Overflow. We want it all. We want it all. We sing overflow. Yes, we do. We want it all, Lord. Overflow. One more time. We want it all, Lord. Overflow. We want it all, Lord. Hey, yeah. Hey, yeah. One more time, would you sing? We want more than we've ever had. A fresh touch from you, oh Lord, it's all that we long to know. Spirit, come over. God, this is our prayer in 2018. We want it all, Lord, and we're ready. Come on, you ready for that today, church? Come on, let's give God a praise.